Good evening, everybody. It feels good to come back on here and talk to you all again. I know it's been like a month since my last video, but I just had a lot going on and I've been working a lot. So I want y'all to forgive me for that. Everybody's been wondering about when I was going to post another video. So tonight I decided to get on, and this topic is a good one. It's about fatherless homes and the disconnect between men and women. And I hope you all take what you can from it and apply it to your life, or have a better understanding of your people, our people, and the disconnect that we have with one another. That way we can build and heal together instead of blaming each other, for the mistreatment that we give one another. It can't be just one-sided. I see a lot of people talk about how men mistreat women, but women also mistreat men. So I wanted to come on and talk to you all about that. I actually have some notes. So if you see me look down a few times, it's because I have notes, but I just kind of want to say what's on my heart tonight. And so I'll kind of be back and forth with that. Well, I get into it. I would say the disconnect between men and women pretty much start when we're kids, if that makes sense. When we're young girls, it's good to have good etiquette, growing up and being young ladies, being taught the right things. Not every mother is teaching their daughters that, but I teach my daughters, good etiquette. And, how to speak, cross your legs, have manners, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, stuff like that. Y'all have to pardon my voice as well. I'm not sick or anything. I don't have the Rona. And my voice is just a little deeper and rattles at night. I don't know why. But anyway. Back to what I was saying. It starts with us being young girls. Having good etiquette is a good thing, but sometimes we're made to feel as if it's something to be ashamed of as being young ladies, instead of saying, cross your legs, pull your skirt down, close your legs, this and that. Boys may be looking, men may be looking, and it tends to make us feel bad. We don't really voice it. We just kind of deal with it, but it does make us feel bad for being, young ladies, women. And I think the disconnect with the boys will be the fact that a lot of parents let them be disrespectful, even as as kids. Because I see a lot of children, like a lot of boys, they tend to bully little girls, and I think this all comes from having fatherless homes. It may not be the case for some, but for the most part, I think that's where it comes from, because they don't have a good example of how to treat a woman or how to treat a little girl. When young ladies, I'll start with the ladies. When we don't have a father in the home, I thought I saw my daughter in the hallway. When we don't have a father in the home, I didn't have a father in the home. And when that happens, usually we have a broken consciousness. We don't quite know who we are. And I think that's what happened with me. So I'm going to give a little background about me before I get into it. That way you have a better understanding. But when I was growing up, I didn't have my father because he didn't want children. My mom had 2 kids already, and then she met my dad at a club or bar or something like that. He was in the Navy. Him and his friends had came in, and they went off the ship, and they wanted to party, and he met my mom. His friends met my mom's friends, and for 3 months they were just messing around. My mom thought it was a relationship, but he was just sleeping with her pretty much. And she already had 2 children, like I stated previously, and he didn't have any. That's what he told her. He didn't want children. From my understanding, he was a very mean man. He liked to get into fights. He was very controlling and stuff like that. Why she wanted a relationship with him? Broken consciousness, because she didn't have a good childhood either with her father. So when he left again, she found out she was pregnant with me, and he cut off all communication. So I never met my father. I don't even know what he looks like. Everyone says I look just like him, but I think I look like my grandmother. But he cut off our communication. I've been looking for him all my life. I reached out to the Navy. They located him. They couldn't give me his location, but they could forward my letters. So I would always forward letters. I had been writing them for years, and he just would never respond. But I never got the letters back, so I know he got them. But I'm just at the point in my life where I'm not going to beg anybody to love me, because I'm a wonderful human being, and he missed out on somebody great. So I stopped writing the letters, and I just moved on with my life. It is what it is. And sometimes when somebody don't want to reach out to you, is God protecting you from that person. I don't know what kind of person he is now, but from my understanding, how he's not even writing back, he's still trash. Point blank, period. So I moved on with my life. I have 3 beautiful daughters. They may never meet their grandfather, but that's fine with me. But anyway, back to what I was saying. As young ladies, you have a broken conscience when you don't have a father in the home, because a lot of the times our moms, when they pick one bad man, and because they don't know any better, they pick a bad man, and then we become a product of their relationship. And when that man doesn't stick around, they tend to pick like the same type of man over and over again until they know better and do better. So when you're a young lady and you don't know who your father is, he's not in the home like he needs to be, or he's in prison, or maybe he is in the home with you, he's just not there emotionally. That can be lonely too. So we just have a broken conscience. We don't know who we are. We have no one to affirm us in the world. So like myself, I grew up longing for that relationship with a man, so I ended up being in different relationships with different men who didn't mean me any good, because I was looking for affirmation and love that I never had from my dad. A lot of women, they don't want to admit that, but that's why they do the things they do. That's why they pick the same man over and over again. But I couldn't really blame the men for the way that I was being treated, because I allowed it, because my self-esteem was in the tank pretty much. And I allowed a lot of behaviors that I shouldn't have allowed, but I did anyway, because I just wanted that love and affirmation, even if it was a lie, even if it was fake. And a lot of women do that, until I realized that I'm so much more than what I'm presenting. I'm so much more than what I'm accepting. So I just decided to move on from those relationships and just continue to grow, let God grow me, and just become better every day. Let me see what I wrote on here. Oh yeah. But anyway, I'm on track with the notes, even though I'm just speaking my mind. So that's how we tend to grow up, just searching for that affirmation. It's like, once we've been broken by the one person that's supposed to affirm us in the world, we look for the same type of man. We all say, I don't want a man like my dad. But subconsciously, we pick men that has the same characteristics as our dad. And because our dad isn't there to undo the damage that was done, they can't fix what's broken in us that they caused, we tend to pick men that's the same way. And we kind of look at those men as our father in a way, because what we'll start to do is do everything that we can to show them that we're worthy. So we'll give them as much sex as they want, just we'll be submissive to them, and they're not even our husbands. You aren't supposed to be submissive to your husbands. And we would be submissive, we would have sex with them, whatever. Or we'll constantly brag on ourselves. Even though we have low self-esteem, it will appear that we don't have low self-esteem, because we'll brag on all the good qualities that we know we have, just so they can see us as being worthy. or something valuable, when in reality we're not valuable to them. They don't see it. So we spend a lot of time doing that, and we shouldn't be doing that. And I've done it time and time again until it was time that I realized, I'm attracting the same kind of men. And I just can't say that they're all trash, even though that may be, the case. I had to turn the mirror on myself and do the self-work and realize that it's me that's choosing these men. I don't have to choose these men. And I had to start doing the self-work. And once you start doing self-work and work toward your journey in healing, you'll realize that the more you heal, the more you attract a different kind of man. You no longer have it written on your forehead that you're gullible. They may see you as easy or desperate. So once you start to heal and let God affirm you, once you let the Most High affirm you and give you your identity, let you know who you are, you attract a different type of man. And I tell women this all the time. Sometimes, you can't just jump on the N-word, ain't S-H-I-T bandwagon. I can't stand that word and I can't stand that phrase. You can't just jump on that bandwagon because you're choosing the wrong man. You need to turn the mirror on yourself and figure out what is it about you that keep attracting these same kind of men. What is it that's broken inside of you that makes you keep choosing the same kind of men? Because it's not always them. So, yeah. But as far as the young men, so I'm starting on the boys. I'm kind of go back and forth because I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to be all over the place. So I have to be back and forth with it. Now, when little boys, I don't have any sons, but I know what I know. So here you go. So when there's little boys and they grow up without a father in the home, I would say it would be a lot of sadness for them. They're going to internalize it and wonder what it is that they done wrong that their dad didn't want to stick around. It can be the same for girls too, because I did the same thing. But for boys, it's a little different. And growing up, they need the male influence in their life because it's only so much a woman can teach a little boy. They say some women can raise a man. They say some women can't. I don't know nothing about that, but I just know that they need a male figure in their life, whether it's their father or if it's an uncle or whoever, a grandfather, that'll do too. If they're good men, they need to be in their lives. But I feel like they will internalize everything, wonder what was wrong with them, and then they have to deal with society as well. They have to deal with their mom possibly, being strict on them because they're boys, or treating them a certain way because their dad left. I know some women, they, treat their sons bad because the dad left, especially if the son looks just like the dad. I've heard stories of where they, would beat them or talk harsh to them. You just like your dad, this and that, but the kid don't even know who his dad is. So, that leaves a bad impression. I feel like they will start to have, anger issues. It's a lot of angry little boys walking around, and then they tend to bully little girls. Like a few weeks ago, a boy didn't even know my daughter, and he pushed her down, and their friends had to come and tell me that happened. By the time I got outside, he was gone. So, you have a bunch of angry little boys, that's disrespectful, and the moms don't really say anything to them, but old boys will be boys. But you don't want other little boys doing that to your daughters. You can't just say boys will be boys. You have to teach these boys that they can't do certain stuff. And a lot of these moms, they're just not doing that. And a lot of times too, like I said, we tend to pick bad men over and over again. And I think that's a factor as well with these angry little boys growing up, because when their dad doesn't stick around, if the mom doesn't know any better to do any better, she's going to keep picking the same men. And when you keep picking the same men, you may get somebody worse than before. or get somebody else that's worse than him. So a lot of time these boys are watching their moms go through man after man, sleeping with this man, sleeping with that man. This man may be beating on her, maybe beating on him too, or his siblings. You never really know why some of these boys the way that they are, because a lot of time they don't really want to vent either. They don't really want to tell their business because they feel like it'll, make them look weak, or, and then society telling them, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to do this and that. Hold your chin up, wipe your face, shut up, don't, stop acting like a little girl if you're crying. It's a lot of pressure on little boys and young men. And while they're getting a bad influence at home from the men that their mom is dating, subconsciously they're learning from it too. So for example, I knew a guy, his dad went to prison, so he wasn't in his life like that, but his dad was also a womanizer. He had multiple women pregnant in the same year. He had a few brothers that was the same age as him, because they were all born in the same year. His dad had 20-something kids, way too many kids, and then he ended up going to prison. And then his mom remarried another guy that was in the military, but he used to sleep around on her, and then on top of that, he used to beat on her. He put his hands on her, from my understanding. He put his hands on her. And he had to defend his mom when he was 11 years old, and no child should have to defend their mom from a man that's beating on them. It's a lot of young boys that then got killed for stepping to a grown man when their mom should have been left. And he's in denial that he has trauma. I tried to talk to him about it. He's in denial that he has trauma from all of that. So he grew into a narcissist, and he's very toxic. So I couldn't even be friends with him. He crazy. But anyway, subconsciously, they learn from the bad influences that their mom bring around them. Even though they say, oh, I don't like the guy that my mom is with, this and that, they still learn something from him, because I think this guy also have put his hands on women as well. So you get all these examples as a young man that's not good, a lot of bad influences. And then they grow up and they get in these relationships and they don't know how to treat women, because subconsciously they have a problem with their own mom for putting them in a situation that they put them in when they were little kids with these different dudes. So not only do they dislike the guys, they dislike their mom. So they get in these relationships and they use what they learned from the men on the women, and they also pretty much hate the women too. Some of them have a warped, mindset when it comes to women because of the choices that their moms made, even though they won't say that. They'll just say, oh, well, this woman or that woman, she wasn't no good, she wasn't this, she wasn't that. And then here come the name calling and all of that. So I think that's where that comes from. They didn't have a good example on either side. So it's just a disconnect everywhere. And, you just have to have an identity. You really need your fathers in the home to affirm you. And I was reading the Bible the other day, and I was reading Genesis 2:19 through 23, because only a man can really give an identity. So that's why, the role of a father is so important. Look, I have my Bible right here. Let me read it. It's a big book. Since I'm on my phone, I can't use my phone, so I gotta go old fashioned. Okay. Genesis, it's in Genesis 2:19. I need glasses, y'all, so bear with me. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and to all the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found any helpmeet for him. And the Lord God caused the deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from him made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. And when I was reading that, that the Most High gave Adam the authority to name everything on earth, every beast, every fowl of the air, and he also named, Eve, his woman. And it's like, I was like, wow. So a woman can't really give a man an identity. A woman can't give her son or her daughters an identity. It's only given to a man. So that stood out to me, that the man in the house, the father, or a good stepfather, is supposed to affirm his children. Some may disagree with me, and we can have differences of opinion. I'm not petty, but he gave that authority to a man. So that's why it's so important. It's okay to be a mom that, that's a single mom that raised her kids and everything, but children need their father to affirm them. Like, little girls' faces light up when their fathers tell them that they're beautiful, that they can be anything they want to be, when they give them the game on these men and what they doing out here. Their faces light up, because that's what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to get your affirmation, know who you are from your father. You get your identity from your father. And the same thing goes for these boys. And then they grow up, and we don't even know how to communicate with one another. And that bothers me. And that's another reason why I don't really like to be on Facebook, like in comment sections and stuff like that, once I see certain posts, because I know it's just going to be a bunch of fighting. And that's because we don't know how to communicate. We're broke. On one hand, we're broken because of our fathers not being in the home, and then we have to watch out for predators and stuff like that, because we didn't have a man to affirm us or tell us the game and what to stay away from when it pertains to certain men. And then on the other hand, we have the young men, because there's predators looking after, little boys too, stuff like that. And they don't have the protection from their fathers. They don't know how to protect their little sisters and stuff like that, because they don't have an identity. They weren't affirmed either. So it's like they're left out in the cold too. And then we both grow up and we don't understand each other. We don't know how to communicate. And that's another thing. I just see like a lot of they shooting outside. What is... Anyway, ignorance. Anyway, when they grow up, that's where you have the disconnect with communication, because we grow up pretty much in the same situation, but we communicate differently, so we don't quite understand each other. Women, we're very emotional. We voice everything that we feel, and we can be overly emotional at times. We can be crying and everything, and we wonder why the man won't say anything. That's because he don't know what to do with that, especially if he's, he lacks feelings, because he grew up the same way you did, but society expects differently from him than they do women. We can be emotional and all of that. Society won't let men be emotional. So we have women, we grow up, we're emotional. We screaming at the man, and I tell women all the time, you can't just go straight into yelling at a man. If we have a problem, there's a certain tone that we have to use, and it's not yelling. We have to keep our feminine energy, just stay calm and collected, baby, I have a problem with A, B, and C, and we need to talk about it. Just nothing crazy, nothing overly emotional where you're screaming at the top of your lungs at one another, acting crazy. Because men, they just shut down because they don't know how to deal with that. They're not accustomed to dealing with our emotions because they don't really understand women, and we'll never fully understand them as well. So when we calm and collected, when we try to talk to a man, we get better results than we do if we're yelling, because you're not going to get anything resolved if you're yelling. Even if he's wrong, if we want to get something resolved, we can't scream at people, because it's just nothing going to get resolved. But what else I wrote in here? I have brain farts sometimes. That's why I write down some notes. But I think I covered all of it. But I'm just on here talking to y'all tonight. It's not really one of those scripted, videos where I'm just on here talking to y'all, giving y'all my thoughts. Y'all can give me y'all feedback and, in the comment section. Or if you have a question about anything, or if you have a topic or something that you would like for me to talk about, then you just leave it in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But I just felt like this needed to be talked about. Like, the disconnect is crazy. It is crazy, and it saddens me because we should know better by now. We should be doing a lot better than what we're doing. We shouldn't still be degrading each other, calling each other names. We still shouldn't be fighting and shooting each other. Domestic violence is at an all-time high. It's just a lot going on, and we're so disconnected. And it seems like we still making the same mistakes over and over again. These men need to pick better women. The women need to pick better men. I just think we all have a lot of self-work to do, and a lot of people not doing the self-work because it will require to be uncomfortable, and it's going to require change. And a lot of people, they're not ready for change because it's so painful. Change is painful. It's difficult, but it's so necessary, and I feel like we should all do it. But not everybody think that way. A lot of people, they get comfortable in the situations that they're in, and they think if they keep doing the same thing that eventually it'll get better and the right person will come along. But you're not going to attract what you really desire if you're not willing to change who you are and the way that you do things. It's just not going to happen. So to say I want a man that's A, B, and C, whatever list that you may have, you have to line that list up to yourself and see if you can match it. If you can't match it, you got some self-work to do, because that man that you want, he ain't coming. I'm just saying. He ain't coming because you ain't did the self-work. You haven't healed. No whole man want to be with a piece of a woman. You have to find happiness within yourself, and a lot of times we're not happy because we put our happiness in the hands of other people. Happiness is something that you can only find with yourself, and you really find it when you're by yourself. You have to be by yourself in order to be happy with yourself. You have to love who you are from the inside out, because as long as you keep putting your love in the hands of somebody else, they're going to find ways to make you feel like you're not good enough, because they already know that you have low self-esteem. So they're going to make you feel like, oh, you need to do this. Like, you need to lose a little weight. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. They're going to find ways to make you feel less than. And you can only love yourself when you love everything about yourself. And love yourself enough to grow. You have to love yourself enough to grow. Because when you grow, you find a happiness that you never had before. And everything, that you want, you will attract it. So it's like it just come easily to you than it ever have. I don't know how to really explain it. Like everything that you want is attainable. You just have to do the self work, and you have to make sure that the Most High is the foundation of everything that you're doing. You can't fix your body, fix stuff about yourself. Get in a good relationship and expect everything to just work out, and you don't have the Most High at the foundation of what it is that you're doing, because it's going to be short lived. It's not going to last. You have to have the Most High at the center of everything that you're doing. Point blank, period. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tonight. I feel like it's something else that I want to say, but I can't really think what it is because it's late. It's late. I'm kind of sleepy. But yeah, the disconnect just bothered me a lot over the past few weeks, because I've been seeing so much negativity and hearing so much negativity. Whether it's people in the street or just in random conversation that I hear or what I see on social media, like the disconnect is just crazy. And I feel like there's somebody for everybody, but you have to do the self-work and become better. And another thing that I noticed is about Proverbs 31. A lot of us women read it, we hashtag it, we get plates on our car made, we have keychains, maybe even a tattoo or so, talking about being a Proverbs 31 woman. Now I agree about, not having tattoos and stuff like that. You're not supposed to, mess up your temple. But it just dawned on me that a lot of women read Proverbs 31, but a lot of men aren't reading Proverbs 31. Every man seems to want a Proverbs 31 woman, while they just continue to pretty much be nothing. And I don't get it. It's a lot of women that's out here, including myself, that's practicing purity of the heart and body, spirit and soul, just purity, saving yourself, celibacy, abstinence, whatever. Not drinking, not smoking, taking care of our bodies, taking care of our mental, and all of that. We're growing every day, starting businesses, we're being better, mothers and stuff to our children. We're learning how to be better for our partners in the future and stuff like that. And I don't see no men trying to be an Ephesians 5 man. Ephesians 5 is talking to the men, and I don't see no men practicing purity or trying to be the best that they can be for us women that's trying to be our best for them. And that's also a disconnect, and that's exactly what I was talking about. And that just bothers me that so many of us are reading Proverbs 31 and learning how to be that type of woman, but nobody's really talking to the men about being an Ephesians 5 man. And it gets frustrating. I feel like men should read Proverbs 31 and then pick better women, because they still out here picking the wrong ones that do any and everything, and that's not really fit to be mothers to their children, the good men. I don't know why good men are attracted to the worst women that they can find. I don't get it. And they don't be looking back nothing either. They don't take care of themselves. Can somebody explain that to me? I'm lost. I see it so much. And then it dawned on me, it made sense. I was with my sister in Walmart, and she saw the handsomest man, but he was with this woman that didn't look back nothing. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like, I told her, I said, maybe it's one of those situations where as good as he may look, he don't feel that